We have incredible leaders in the military, and we have incredible military, and we are very proud of them. And this was another very, very successful mission.
Wow, a Fox News alert now, and you heard about this. 36 ISIS militants taken out by a bomb known as the mother of all bombs, and President Trump calling it a success. So what is the message to the rest of the world? Is there one? Here to discuss is former Army intelligence officer, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Sheffield, playing outside right, former advisor to the United Nations and NATO commanders in Afghanistan. Andrew Peak is here, retired infantryman and Marine Corps Reserve, and New York Assemblyman himself, Kieran Lower. Kieran, welcome back to all of you. First off, this bomb drops in a region right on the Afghan-Pakistan border a week after one of our special operators is killed. How does that play into this?
Yeah, I think it definitely sends a message that all options are on the table. Washington is no longer going to micromanage the war. You saw that President Trump gave authorization to use this if the situation presented itself a while ago. I think those are real positive developments and show that this president is very different than his predecessor.
Let's look at what Afghanistan is right now. You have ISIS fighting the Taliban sometimes together, and one thing they agree is we're bad and they want to take us out. Andrew, how does this ground now changed with that bomb dropped? With 36 dead.
Well, one of the most concerning developments in Afghanistan has been there's actually become a truce between ISIS and the Taliban since last summer. So what I would expect to see is increased cooperation even now going forward because of this bomb drop. You know, it's a propaganda victory. The United States is going after ISIS personally, and I think the Taliban prefers that it be the opposition faction #1 rather than ISIS.
Colonel, you've been saying this for a while. In fact, ISIS has been coming back in there since 2014, and as long as they're there, there's no reason for us to ever leave because they directly are a threat to America.
And more importantly, Brian, I think we have to understand there's ways we need to deal with them severely, sending the message about the fact we're going to go after them. And this bomb was used in such a way to send a message to the world and, more importantly, Pakistan. One of the issues has been, and will remain until we deal with it directly, is the safe havens in Pakistan. Every general I've talked to who's been in charge in Afghanistan bemoans the fact that we could not go into Pakistan and deal with the safe havens, which is how the Taliban and now ISIS is being able to kind of refuel, retool, and go back across the border. So this means, like we did with the bin Laden raid, Pakistan may well be back on the table.
And in Pakistan, remember, Colin Powell famously says, you know, you're going to be with us or against us. You know, told them to get on board, and we were able to use it as a staging area right after 9/11. And for a while, they were complying, but they're not now. So do you think this would hurt actual recruitment for ISIS more than anything else?
I think it does. You know, for a long time, if you were a potential jihadi, it looked like Allah was on your side and it was going to be a glorious cause. If you just got one of the 36, if you were just one of the 36 killed anonymously in a cave somewhere in Afghanistan, that's not so glorious. I think we've done something to stop ISIS's recruiting momentum with this.
Andrew, get this. Russia, on Friday, will host high-level talks on Afghanistan with Iran, Pakistan, and Chinese diplomats. They say we can go if we want to. What's going on here?
The Russians are playing a uniquely negative game on Afghanistan. You know, they're actually supporting the Taliban, who fought their allies, the Northern Alliance, for
Islamic
years.
Extremists,
fundamentalists. This is how much they hate America. This is how much they want to hurt American interests. They're supporting people who are diametrically opposed to Russian interests just to cause us some minor pain in Afghanistan.
You know what's interesting, and Colonel, tell me if I'm overstating this. You have the 59 Tomahawk missiles last weekend. You have this mother of all bombs yesterday.
Right.
And then Saturday in North Korea, they see our attack fleet right outside off their coast.
Right.
And I'm wondering what they're thinking today. Am I wrong to think that they're following all this?
Oh, it's all related. Oh, absolutely. Look, we've had options again on the table regarding North Korea since I worked this in the 90s. The question becomes a matter of political will. Are we willing to do something? This is what's changed. The pattern that Mr. Trump has shown is that we're now willing to use military force as an extension of foreign policy. So if I were North Korea, if I were I would be taking this very seriously.
And I'll just add this as we switch finally to Syria, and that is the Chinese president called our president unsolicited on Tuesday and warned North Korea yesterday, you've been no antics on Saturday.
Right.
And that might, in many cases, is unprecedented. Some say don't be naive. So yesterday, Syrian President Assad came out and made a statement that it wasn't even a real attack, and he even implied that there were child actors that pretended to die a brutal death.
Totalitarian regimes are notorious liars.
Who's their audience? Andrew, who's their audience?
The world.
Yeah, no, it's the world. You know, it's also the Russian public. It's also they're trying to confuse the issue at the UN enough that countries like Bolivia, which voted with Russia against Nikki Haley's resolution condemning the chemical attack, feel justified in giving them some diplomatic cover. So it's an information campaign, and the Russians consider information a weapon of war.
Well, and we have been losing this battle, Brian. I mean, we've been sitting back and allowing the Russians to run the table. This is another example of them putting out a message, spinning it a certain way. It doesn't really matter what the truth is. It's about what they can shape their perception to be. And this is something that clearly makes Russia an evil empire that we have to deal with, just like we did during the Cold War.
I just think they're a well-educated society. They're not going to be duped by this. And I think if they have Google, they'll realize how laughable that statement is. Guys, great to see you.
Great.
We'll see you a little bit later. And thanks so much. And we have a lot of front states. 6 different countries we have active military operations in.